guys. I am in Paris. I'm visiting for Art Basel, and I wanted to tell you a few things happening here and also an interesting story about my practice and what I'm doing here in Paris right now. I'm originally from Ukraine, a Jewish refugee immigrant that came to the States in 1989. When I'm in Paris, I feel very much at home. It seems like such a distant place from Odessa, Ukraine. Odessa was actually built by French Roman architects, a town of Duc de Richelieu. I'm actually staying right now in a hotel on a street called Rue de Richelieu. There's a reason why I'm here. The main reason is that this city has such a strong emotional connection to me because it reminds me of where I grew up as a child. The architecture, the weather, the colors, trees, the way the weather is, the cold feels, the way the summer feels. All of these things, they represent my childhood. And they also represent what was stolen from me. I was an immigrant. I was persecuted as a Jew living in Ukraine. I was not welcome there from the day I was born. It was not an easy childhood, even though it is a childhood. Maybe until 6 it was okay because I didn't realize what was going on. But after that, it was a complicated battle sometimes. Trying to belong, trying to be like other kids, trying to get good grades, trying to get into schools, universities, going into some competitions, and just hitting limits, being beaten up after school, having your nationality written next to your name at every class you go to, which also determined whether you're going to get a good grade or not. A lot of my personality traits that allow me to be an artist are based on the things that I had to overcome, are based on the fact that I had to do my best to know that what I've done is enough. I could not rely on people's opinion. I could not rely on anything that was given to me from the outside. I had to know myself that what I've done was good. What I've done deserved an A. What I've done deserved a good grade. Unfortunately, that also meant as a person or as an artist, I became very OCD, meaning that every little detail that I do goes to the extreme. Everything that I do goes to beyond 100%. From prepping the paper, from prepping research on the materials, research on the treatment of the surface. Every single thing has to be done to perfection. You know, some people say perfectionism is a flaw. Unfortunately, it's like a built-in drive in me. And if it's not perfect, it is not out there for judgments. The worst critic of myself is me. So when my work is out there, the most important thing that I know for myself that I'm happy with it. If it affects other people, if other people find it interesting, if it moves them, if it speaks to them, that is great. That means that we're connecting on some level. When I'm making art, whatever I'm doing, it does not, translate into exactly what I'm feeling because my feelings, my knowledge, my experience is based on my experience and how I react to it. Same with everyone else because everyone has their own journey and everyone can relate to it in different ways because everyone had a different reaction to how they dealt with the situation. Long story short, back to the fact that I was an immigrant. Childhood was sort of torn away from me and I could not maintain the relationships I built as a child to my classmates, to my best friends. I didn't know if I'm ever going to see my grandparents again. Not to mention the complete unknown of going through immigration, being a refugee, being in refugee camps, going from country to country, going through Poland, Romania, Austria, Italy, living in all those places on that limited budget of $2,000 that we're given for the entire, just this is it, $2,000 and you leave for the whole family. It was absolutely insane. I've never been back to Odessa since I left, since I was 15 years old. When I come to cities, European cities, especially to a city of Paris, it is almost making me cry. It's almost like a breakthrough. I mean, I've never really explored it in my work. I want to be able to capture that feeling, emotion, or that essence of a city like Paris or essence like city like Odessa. The combination of colors that speak to me, that make me cry, that make me have that deep emotional hurt that I went through. maybe as part of healing, maybe as part of understanding myself and understanding what was it in those cities besides amazing memories. Having your parents, having your grandparents, having your first experiences. Childhood is an amazing thing, but when someone just takes it like that, you're never quite able to regain it. It's left a mark. And a lot of my work speaks about that sort of nostalgia. I really enjoy things that are analog, movies that are based on old cultures, ideas of coming of age, experiencing the world for the first time. So I'm really hoping to be able to capture that. This is what I'm going to try to do. So what I did today is I went to Magazine Saint-Lilier, the store of art supplies. The oil paints I've used for years, and I kind of wanted to go to the source and get some of the materials of the project that I want to do. Other thing that I was going to mention in the beginning of this conversation, there's been a major thing going on in my life over the last year where I haven't been able to produce the work that I've been known for the last couple of years. And the reason why I haven't been able to produce that kind of work is because of the continuous strain of working with wax, having to wear respirators, having to stand over work for hours and hours at a time, having to move heavy things, lifting heavy things. Over time, what happened is there's been a damage to my neck, and there's a pinched nerve going through my neck that is affecting my left arm specifically. I haven't been able to produce any new work for over a year now because of that. I need to be able to weld the frames, I need to be able to make the crates, I need to be able to move things around, I need to be able to have a respirator. All of these things together, the emotional breakthrough that I'm having in Paris, nostalgic, leading up to all these things, which over the last year it has been quite almost depressing state of not being able to do what you love, not being able to produce the work you want to produce, and questioning whether I can even go on creating art, whether it's something that I should be doing or whether it's something it's even appreciated. Because on the other hand, besides my health issue of pain in the hand and not being able to lift things or not being able to paint things, there's also a parallel going on, which is social political, which is just mind blowing on top of all that. Where art right now is being judged on political, social, race, color, gender, all kinds of other things besides the actual art, besides the fact of what it actually does. How does it make you feel? What is it making you strive towards? A lot of this stuff is just complete bullshit. Last 3 years I've been going to these art fairs. I've been going to Frieze, I've been going to Art Basel. I have very difficult time finding something that is actually speaking to me. Anyway, two things: the art world, the state of it, social, political, my health, all those things put me in a state where I'm like, why am I even making this? Why am I making art right now? What am I going to do with it? What's the point of doing the things I'm doing? Almost like an emotional breakdown that I had in Paris made me come back again this year. And I would love to start something here. I went to the store today. I was looking at pastels, and next to me was another artist. I mean, I assumed he was an artist. And he was like, oh, these are wonderful pastels. They're just such a joy to work with. There's so much color, richness. And I'm like, are you an artist? He's like, yes. And we started talking. He told me his story. He himself had to stop painting with oil and with additives they had to, working with turpentine, all these smells. They had a health situation that stopped him from working, and it took him 7 years to rebuild. And we started showing each other's works and looking at it, and he encouraged me. He said, there's a question of whether art chooses you or you choose art. He says he chose art. And because he chose art, he chose to be happy and to enjoy the fact that he's chose art. And he's focusing on that. And the fact that he had to rework his practice, rethink his practice, get rid of toxic elements that were hurting his health. He said it was a freeing moment and allowed him to separate from the galleries, separate from the pressure, kind of took things back on his own terms. And it was very encouraging for me to hear that. And it couldn't have been a better timing in my life from what I've been going through for the last year and a half. It's giving me hope for the art world in general, and it's giving me hope for, to continue to stay and create something new, create something that will touch people the way that I am being touched by being here, by the journey that I went through, the beautiful life that is there to experience, that I have experienced in the past, that my parents have experienced, that my grandparents had experienced. I mean, such a full life in the past where people were singing together, eating, dancing, enjoying each other's company. Technology and work and taxes and politics, they're taking so much away from our daily life. I mean, looking at the generation right now, my generation, we're so focused on work. We're so focused on creating something and making something that we completely forgot to give attention to the children to make sure that they have the values needed for this world to survive. I have two beautiful daughters, and I'm trying to give them as much as I can. It's important to me. It's important to me to make sure that they learn to appreciate simple things in life. I'm thinking that the only way to really communicate with each other and to relate to each other on this level, besides having these honest conversations, obviously it's through art, is to have connections that transcend time, that transcend age, transcend location. When artists are on the right track, if they go to the art gallery, if they go to the art fair, when we look around, we see, oh, there's a collective consciousness. There's a collective consciousness that is beyond internet, that is beyond us talking. There's beyond, because we have the similar ideas that are being explored in different parts of the world, but we're still on the same track. And this is the kind of feeling I've had whenever I went to Art Basel, whenever I went to Armory, whenever I went to Frieze. But for the last 3 years or more, I don't see it. I do not see anything remotely interesting. I mean, there's some works that are staple works that have been selling for, generations, for years and years, same stuff over and over. But there's nothing new. And the new artists that are being shown, maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not the right artists. Just my opinion, of course. But it's also very frustrating for an artist like myself to attend these fairs, seeing art buyers and collectors and art advisors basically fighting over things that may not be surviving the test of time. They may not be ending up in the museums. They may not ending up in anywhere. They could just be a blown up bubble that we sort of created by monetizing art, by art becoming a commodity. Hopefully, it's not something that's going to pop. I want the art to survive. I want the artist to be paid, but I also want the art to be pushing boundaries. I want the art and the artists to be aiming for something, not just trying to be part of this social, political, whatever movement that's going to be gone tomorrow. When I go to museums, there's nothing better than the experience you get from looking at these paintings live. So I can relate to the works that I see, which is not necessarily that's what's going on right now. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. Hopefully, I will have some new series that is going to do the things that I'm hoping they would do. I will share them with you as the time comes. I'm going to start to experiment with it and work on it. I would appreciate any support because artists like me, we need help to be exposed. We need help to be seen. Um, especially artists like me, because to be honest, I'm a complete hermit and I would rather just stay at home and at my studio and never leave it and just work, 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 work. And the idea of dressing up and going to the gallery or flying to another city, it's a pain in the ass.